All right, so we call the meeting to order at 9:34. Okay, Hale, the gang's all here?
Yeah.
Okay. This meeting is being recorded by the city of Greenfield. If any other persons present are recording this meeting, you must notify the board chair at this time. The chair and the Board of Assessors reserves the right to remove or have removed any persons for profanity, threats, or any continued disruption during a meeting. Okay, Joel, take a look at the previous minutes.
I did.
Yes,
I moved to approve that.
I'll second.
All right, so done. It's open public comment.
I'll make motion to open public comment.
Okay,
Second.
okay, we're on.
All in favor?
And speaking time is 3 minutes for each person. State your name and address. Okay, going on to,
Did you read our disclosure?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, I did. You weren't listening,
Yeah, I guess so. Wasn't that long ago.
or maybe you forgot.
I'll fight with this while you do that.
Ongoing, we have a business. How we doing in the office? There you go. Great.
Yeah, we're hanging in there in the office. We're finally past the abatement season. And so we're doing what we can to well, we just recently got caught up once again on deeds because we're gonna get prepared to do billing. So I'm in the test environment and working on that and showing Devin the process. It didn't work, darn it.
It didn't work?
No,
It never worked first.
in that process, so I don't know. Hopefully I can figure it out and not have to have Angelica hold my hand through the whole process. Like I've done in the last couple of times, because I feel like I'm perfectly capable and should be able to do it. And usually it just means I need to slow down and read more of the directions.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that we'll be working on. We'll be gearing up soon for exemptions, the mailing.
Mhm.
We're trying to get the personal property project going. I got a list of all of the particular data that they needed and then contacted Patriot, and we were able to extract the information from the system and then get it over to them in a format that is usable. So our data is getting converted into their system, and then everything will.
Oh.
Hey, Jenny.
Uh-huh.
Once that happens, then they'll be coming here to talk to us about the project. I'll be showing them the results of our efforts,
Okay.
and they'll also be reviewing all of our forms of list. So I was a little bit concerned about that, but
Okay. Oh, and the form of list to ZMUF, that one out?
no. No, did you want me to send one?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I figured that they're gonna get caught in
Oh, well
in
then,
the
heck,
inventory. Yeah, so there's really not a need, and then we'll have them on our radar and send them the form of list
Yeah.
next year.
okay. All right.
But yeah, I was concerned about the amount of cleanup from all the stuff that we found. And then also that the forms of list were reviewed because I feel that they weren't getting properly processed. Like the All About Beads that for 11 years has been down here on Bank Row, and we're still showing at 231 May. And so they assured me that all that was going to get done, and that's part of Bill. So they'll be coming in when we start that project and talk to us about that and let me know when they're going to get going. And then we had talked about other things about notification of the public and that type of thing. And so that would be the time to talk to them about those concerns and see what their strategy is regarding that. I think we definitely want to make sure that we have those personal property frequently asked questions available on our website prior to starting that.
And if there is an opportunity, or if it's appropriate to review or work with them on any process stuff, like, for example, like mail outs to people or whatever. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to help out. I think when RRG did their mail outs, I think last year.
Right.
Yeah, I think
They just sort of did it without any input from us.
Right.
And also at the time, you know, it was just something that they, I guess was business as usual for them and they hadn't thought of some of the things or other concerns. Yeah, that we sort of had. So yeah, that'll be the time when they come in to talk to us. Maybe when they're in, I'll have you guys, you know, give you the heads up so that we can all come in and ask any questions.
Thank you.
And talk about those type of things so that, you know, we make sure that we're not reactive, but we're proactive.
Exactly.
Do we have a personal property FAQ?
Yes,
How is it?
yeah, it's from the state,
Oh, it's from the state.
so it might not be in layman's terms.
Okay.
Are you sure you didn't see that? Weren't you working on that? Was that a different?
Personal
They asked
property.
questions, so it's different.
It was the
FAQ.
taxpayer one on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so there is
I'll
one.
take a look
for
at
the,
it.
I'll send that around.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, because I was talking to Kelly about FAQs on the foreclosure process. And you know, our FAQs really don't show a timeline, don't get into some of the details so that people understand we're trying to get them to pay their taxes and avoid foreclosure. But anyhow, that's in her court.
We have an agenda item for that later.
Yeah, okay. Oh, well, thanks. Okay, but I'll take a look at the personal property FAQs and see if we can't make them more friendly if need be. Okay, RRG.
And we don't really have an RRG report because Dave is not here. He's got his challenges and has been not as consistent in the office on any particular day. Was here the last Tuesday,
His wife.
but yeah, with his wife. But he has all of the inspections that need to happen organized and printed out and prepared. He last week was here, but I think, did he even show up in the office at all?
He did for like a minute, but.
Yeah, just for, yeah, he's just here for,
Individual
15 minutes or something like that, and then was out in the field the whole time. And working from home. So I know that they're still also continuing on with the cyclical review because we have the computer that they go into and post and working on things, so I can see them in there doing that.
Mhm.
And Harold also contacted me and we're he wants to go and look at the marijuana dispensary, the 7 Legion Ave. And also, when he's here, that's when we're gonna take that list or try and get the top 20, let's say, on that list of the discrepancies between the permit values and the total value. And look at those. And then anything else, I guess, that's on our radar while we have them here, we should.
So I'm sorry, you said Harold's gonna look at the construction to value list that you generated?
Yeah, he wants to come and look at some of these commercial properties that we're finding that, the values are not correct on. So any suggestions that you have, I'll
Did
need.
he look at the marijuana cultivator on Arch Street as well?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, and so that's sort of why I'm saying it. If there's any concerns, let's put those up to the top of our list. And also review that. I know when we were looking at that list, there were a bunch of town things that was
Yeah.
sprinkled in there. So
Yeah, they're not
if
gonna.
we can refine it to the ones that we really want to look at. Yeah. 'cause
Do you want me to do another run on that?
Yeah, if you could eliminate anything, I don't know if you have the codes in there, but anything with a 9,
I did.
the exempts, if we could eliminate all the exempts from it.
I can do that.
Then do the same thing value wise, at least the 7 Legion Ave. And I guess we have found out since then that there was a typo in the
Yeah,
permit amount. It was
for the Smoky Leaf.
Yeah, it was 200,000 for Smoky Leaf. Okay, so that's not, is that 7 Legion Smoky Leaf?
No,
Yeah,
it's a different one. But yeah, the
And so,
permit said it was $20 million and
Yeah.
it's 200,000.
yeah,
Should we take a look at all the marijuana dispensaries,
um,
all 5 of them, whatever they are?
yeah, that might not be a bad idea.
And because they're all new, so they're all new growth.
Right, because they're all new.
Take them off.
Oh, yeah, it's not like they've been here for 20 years, right?
and many of them opened recently, I believe.
Mhm.
He's a patriot, so that would be great.
Okay,
And then is Harold also gonna look at the tip list?
Yeah, and that's another thing, anything, well, I don't know, depending on what the tip list is. And so, no, that's more of an RRG thing, or we have to figure out who's gonna go and look at those.
Okay,
If it's stuff without permits, there's only so much, depending on what it is, there's only so much we can do, so if they're renovating on the inside.
yeah.
You can go and knock on the door and ask them to set up an appointment.
The other thing, I think we were gonna be asking Harold to help us estimate the cost if we added any of the new exemption options.
Okay,
This is in the council outreach. We were gonna start briefing them on a number of things, including the senior exemption options this summer, so that, come November, we're ready and not the like residential exemption, but I mean like the additional senior ones. There were just a couple of, like Greenfield has most of them, but there was just a couple. Remember I made that slide?
yeah, I do.
Yeah, so, but in order to talk to the council about it, as we talked, we need to give them some sort of thumbnail estimate of how much it's gonna impact the budget if they option any of those things.
Okay.
And
I don't think that there's
You don't think-
small adjustments, but I don't think it's anything. Well, and
I hope not.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily know if Harold will get involved in that. Hopefully.
Okay. Oh, cool, all right.
okay, moving on to staffing, I see the job description got written.
So there has been some developments. And, yes, I got other job descriptions and then discussed it a little. And, we're talking about the strategy of the office and different things. And so we, are hopefully gonna be giving Devin an opportunity to step up and go for a position in training, basically. Because, as expressed previously, she didn't feel comfortable with just stepping right into an assistant assessor role since she is, but we're talking about bringing her along. And, that's our goal. So we, now I have sent a job description for a clerk to, Diana NHR, and I'm waiting to see if, she had a couple and we were comparing notes between the two. I also had removed a couple of things from that I felt really, they were a clerk thing, but it was an assistant assessor. And I think they just got blended because of how the staffing went over the years and just with so few people. Well, guess what? You're gonna have to do this, so.
So you think it'll be easier to hire a clerk without those other items?
I do. And that was part of the thing, we've invested in Devin. I didn't want to have her feel as though she had missed out on an opportunity, couldn't just waste time looking for someone qualified for 3 months and then just, get to the point where, all right, again, I'm ready to say, no, let's start training our own qualified personnel. We've had some reductions in the budget that, this will also work, toward us, be a little bit of a benefit because then we won't be encumbering all of the entire 60,000 that we put aside. And so there were some last second adjustments to the budget where we lost 30,000 that was supposed to go to Harold. And so between that and then also now that we're doing a personal property with RRC, I talked to Harold and we're going to reduce the amount of the contract because they're not going to be doing the personal property piece. So there were several reasons that kind of I ended up in that determination and a few conversations with Devin to make sure that she was going to be comfortable. And we're just kind of waiting for it all to play out now.
I for one am more comfortable. No, it's always better to have someone who already knows what they're doing. And it can take a while to, start someone from nothing and you never know if they're going to be compatible. Yeah, this is definitely the best thing for the city. So.
What,
Already invested in Devin and her training with the specialized training that she got from Linda. So she hasn't been here a year, but I feel that her experience is really beyond someone that be here for years. It's with different things that have been thrown at her.
Well, plus the side arrangement about the donuts for every meeting.
Yeah.
Evidently, it didn't work.
Oh, did I mention that?
What are you gonna have to do in terms of education?
There'll be the additional 200 course and then I'm gonna pursue the,
Yeah, we talked about her
MA.
pursuing her MAA.
Good for you.
That would be all of the.
yeah.
And I'll take the 200 with you.
Yeah, good. We should, yeah.
Take note.
Yeah, waiting to do the announcement for that. MAA. Class is gonna be, I heard from another assessor, I speak with Karen Tonelli over in Montague. And she's on a couple of the different committees and she said something about them moving the location, that wouldn't be any classes here.
Oh, it's not gonna be a UMass?
Too bad you missed out on the good food. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that was part of their whole, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I heard a rumor and we're waiting to get her. Because.
Well, that's great news about the staff thing.
And the budget you just addressed,
Yeah,
anything else? Okay, and are there any items that we can help with?
Yeah, you had mentioned you had some spreadsheets you might need help with or something.
Yeah, this is when you're trying to do all the repetitive calculations to get everything to balance.
yeah, so that'll be actually another thing that I'm gonna try and concentrate on once we get past, all the bills are out. Is I have to start going through all of the sales.
Yeah.
23 and fine tuning them all. So basically what I call scrubbing the LA3 and make sure that we're in good shape when it comes time to produce our numbers. And then, yeah, there's extensive analysis that happens, and I wasn't sure if we could maybe make a macro that would allow us to, you know, just to.
I'd love to try to work on that. When you get to a point where you have the time to set me up to work on it,
Yeah,
just let me know.
yeah, there's a certain report that we use and we basically analyze it several times and then make adjustments and then have to run all the numbers again. And so, you know, sometimes there's up to 20 different times that we're doing the same.
I don't promise to be able to help at all, but I would certainly be happy to try.
Yeah, and so I think we did about 12 times last year. And part of what I want to do and what I wasn't able to do last year was really do all of that fine tuning on all the sales. And that's part of why we got more pushback from the DOR because our numbers didn't, you know, they worked, but they were sloppy. And they didn't look as good as they could. Well, because I just didn't have a chance to get to all of that. Dave helped out a little bit, but that's not like going through each and every one and making sure that it's where it needs to be.
We are here to help.
Right, can I be included in that too? I mean,
Yeah, sure.
I'm not sure I have much to add to it, but
You're overly humble. I've seen some of the stuff you've been sending around.
Part of the whole
you,
the end results, I think.
yeah, I think you have, but the process is getting there.
Yeah, because it's all, you know, you're built by the grade, by the neighborhood, by the amount of square footage. There's, you know, and in 5 or 6 different more ways to analyze the same numbers.
Okay, can that stuff be exported out as an Excel file?
Yeah, it's an Excel, so.
Okay. Right, yeah, maybe just shooting it over so we can get familiar with it. Okay, let's see, business of BOA, excise weeks.
Look, that's the new growth.
14 and 15. It's today.
Any other signatures today?
Excuse me.
Oh, we are easy.
Definitely slowing down.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Well, that's just an opportunity, right? This fall is gonna be smooth as butter. Jinx. We'll do our best.
Yeah, we're getting.
There you go.
Better shape.
Yeah,
We're going ASAP.
yep.
Okay, supplemental revised permitted bills, none, great.
At this time, and that's another thing that David was talking to me about. Be looking at, because our deadline is coming up, June 20th will be the last time we do something like that, so.
Chapter land, leaves. And the calendar timeline.
Gonna be, so I can read what we're doing. For June.
I'm wondering whether there isn't a timeline that we ought to present to the council so they know
Yeah,
what's going on. So,
Yeah, we talked to the.
yeah, I could send over
Reaching out to them.
what we've
And
got.
we can review that with them when we have our first like intro of, we want to talk to you for 3 meetings. Here's the things we want to talk about. Here's why and when.
Okay. For June, I don't know if we read this last time, but we've got begin preparations for preliminary bills, beginning of the month, which we're in process of. A couple of these, we'll see if we need to have them in here. Complete land analysis update. Complete land analysis and update new land tables. I don't know, are we doing that past that?
That's with Eric now, right?
Complete land analysis, update your land tables. And is that something that
Yeah, and so
is done with?
that's something that's done with our analysis of Harold. But also what that's referring to is that right now they send out the bulletins or IGRs about chapter land. And they tell us what the new values are. And so there is something that needs to be adjusted in Patriot that will reflect whatever the Farmland Advisory Committee has determined as, the price per.
So this isn't about moving borders. This is about, like you said, like chapter land and
Yeah,
updating land value tables here.
yes.
And that's, I think that's this thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And this, you might have an older version, but yeah,
I think it'd be useful if you put page numbers and date.
yeah, sure, yep. You mean dates for like each individual,
No, the date of the.
the revision?
Timeline.
Okay, all right. All right, and then we've got update building cost tables. Is that something that's a little different?
And so that's, again, that would be something that Harold was doing, so building cost tables. If there was something, ours, I believe, from Marshall and Swift. And so every once in a while, they'll do an update, so if that needs to be done. And we can ask, actually, we can ask RRG about all of these. And
Okay.
just confirm with them what it means, because I believe that this is their
Yeah,
timeline.
yeah,
Right, so we have all those other versions that we were incorporating, but this
Yeah,
is
this
really,
one.
theirs is overkill because they're.
yeah, it's gonna be like, this is gonna be something too that we can take items out, remove them.
Yeah,
Because it's gonna be huge because it's,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, we almost need 1 page a month.
And then and then here's a lot of personal property items too in this, and
Okay.
mostly RRG stuff or.
That's when you're gonna start your discovery and they usually will get the list of the new businesses from the clerk's office. And so really, that's when RRG is doing their discovery. You should be doing it prior in the beginning of the year. And even the form of list, they send them out and they're due back by, in 90 days or March 1st. Actually, it's only 60 days because it's March 1st, so that you have time to process them before you do your preliminary bills. And consultants habitually do not, and they'll get to it after, and so then everything, so what it does is it creates a bill for someone that's gone now. And we know that they're gone, or we should know that they're gone and have closed their account, but the account is still there, so they'll get a bill, but then in the actual, then you'll get another bill and it's for the negative of the same amount. And it backs itself out at that time. And so that's not really an efficient way to run your billing system. And that's why it's better to be on top of it and get it done prior to the preliminary bills going out.
A question, I'm noticing that there are a lot of actions, but there aren't deadlines, when the actions have got to be completed.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know.
Can we add
Question for
that?
that.
Because I think
Okay.
that
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
And then what you said it was time for chapter land stuff. So that's in there too.
Yeah, we've got, yep, there's exemption forms for mailing, chapter applications for mailing, which I'm not sure, when do you typically like chapter application? This seems early for.
Yeah, chapter applications usually go out, prior, you send them September 1st and they would do October. They're not doing December, but I'm planning to stay with that same date because that's what I'm hoping people are used to. And if they get it back to us by October 1st, that would be great, but I think it's December 1st, the new
December
deadline.
first.
December 1st is the deadline, so we've got a little bit of time on that, but I just wanna, usually it's September 1st. You know, give them a month's notice that they do, in this case, it'd be more, but that's when we'll be doing it. So again, that's just RRG and trying to be proactive with their timeline.
So should we keep it in June then, or would we want to move
We
it
should probably move it to August,
to August?
the
Okay,
end of August.
all right,
I mean, not just for the chapter land, obviously, the
Yeah.
other exemptions.
Right.
It's right on time.
Okay.
that's great. This is why we like to go over these.
Yeah.
So many adjustments. So we skipped by personal property for utility assessments, telecom assessments, finalized personal property valuations. Prepare AS ratio report based on updated valuations.
Yeah, okay, so they have that in June, huh?
Yeah,
Because that's what we'll be doing. And want to have our deadline for that should be September 15th.
okay.
And so that's part of what I'm saying. I'm gonna start looking at all the sales and sort of preparing the process when the sales are all.
Like AS is assessment to sales.
Yeah, sorry, yeah,
Okay.
assessment to sales ratio.
Yeah, all right, that's a big one.
And so that's, you know, like I said, what I'll be doing now is reviewing all of the sales and making sure that they are accurate data wise. And that any adjustments that are gonna show us the market, that's what the market is. So I just corrected the data according to what I'm seeing in the pictures online, and if I have to go out and review in the field. And then once you've done that, then you start all your analysis, and that's gonna tell you what adjustments you need to make to all the different tables. You know, so the land and building.
Checking map changes upon return by map vendor or cartographer.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Eric.
Eric.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so actually, it's a process that we don't have to worry about because we
Okay.
have Eric.
Yeah,
So should I
just check with him.
Although
Alright.
we keep finding different things. There's a situation down on River Street that was recently uncovered. There was a new house that we just found. And that we're gonna go and look at. There's just a lot of stuff that was done. So there was something else that just came and it was it's just a deed that I did. But when I was looking at the configuration of the lots, it was incorrect. And so come to find out, there was a plan that went through, but never made it to the registry of deeds. So they said they were
Yes.
gonna take us
Yeah.
and split this lot out. I think it was giving them an extra building. And so
Yeah.
we're calling it, you know, lot 40A, but 40A was never supposed to be created. So it's really lot 41.
You guys discussed this in that new growth work group last month. You and Eric and you guys were talking about how this happens.
Yeah, this was one that we had, this is a new one. But yeah,
Right,
the same
you
type of
discussed
thing.
this process
Yeah, it was
problem.
another, yeah,
It's a process problem.
exactly, and so that's right, because they were reacting to it before having the official word,
Mhm.
and yeah, now we have to undo it, so. Yes, multiple letters that I need to send to residents to say, you didn't know it, but this is wrong, and what do you want to do, or let's fix it.
So do you want me to, should we keep is this more under his purview or should we strike it from our?
For-
Well, we should at least keep it as,
No,
that we
Yeah.
check, because we're the customer of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all right, great.
yeah, whether we're doing it or not, it's not a bad thing to have the information that it's something that needs to get done,
Great.
Right.
whether it's up front or behind the scenes.
Those are the best action items.
Right.
And then first quarter preliminary bills. preliminary
Yeah,
bills.
yeah,
mailed, and that'll
okay,
be
so that's what
happening
we're geared
at the
up
end of the
for and
month.
trying to do this afternoon. I will be hopefully successfully navigating the test system and see that it's through and be able to take the next step and live and get the information over to Kelly so that she can do her thing and send the information out to the vendor so that there's plenty of time to print the bills and send them prior to July 1st.
Because we're gonna, if we were to attach a date to when they're gonna be mailed, it's gonna be very end of June, right? Like,
Yes. Yeah, of when they get the actual mailing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always, they don't always have it coming out on July 1st. Usually it's 3 days prior or something like that to
All
try
right.
and make sure in case there is some type of delay that if it still get there on time.
okay. All right,
Okay, so let's see, valuation capture new growth.
So do you want me, do we have time for me to preview the new materials I have for the meeting in a week and a half?
Sure. But well, let's get started and see what.
Okay, just I don't want to surprise you guys. I've already, so I met with Keith yesterday.
Mhm.
And I met with Eric a couple weeks ago, and I met with Mark last week.
Mhm.
And I'm meeting with Amy tomorrow. And I'm just trying to pre-meet with everybody so that when we get everyone together for our seasonal, new work group, that in that time, we can like try and get as much done as possible.
Mhm.
So I'll just try and zoom through this because a lot of it's just from before, but the basic outline is find new growth that is already in our systems. We just have to connect the dots. Find new growth that's in the city, but we don't know about it, like for example, tip line stuff. And then promoting new growth. And then I have a couple of new topics, ideas to try and solve some problems. Last time we showed this chart about blanks and permits. And I updated that. Mark requested I take out all the plumbing and electrical. They're often not closed and it doesn't matter. But these ones are the new growth ones. There's still 1,600 or so of them in the last 5 years. And I'm not going to go through all the details and how I arrange this, but the big one is, as we talked about last time, about 2/3 of these are not closed.
Not closed where in Municity or in Patriot?
In Municity,
Municity, okay, good. So.
right? Because this is from, this data is the stuff Vicky gave me.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, so 2/3 of them are not closed. So that's a lot. I don't know how long.
And so then, yeah, this would be good just for discussion for the group. Should we wait a certain time?
So-
Say, okay, X amount of time has gone by, guess what?
So I tried to summarize an issue based on, we talked about this last time and I talked about it with Mark. So I tried to summarize what's going on here. And then I had a couple of ideas. The simplest is just we and assessors could just, every month or every year, just what are a list of the oldest open permits, but more sustainable, but perhaps politically tricky idea would be just that all permits must have an estimated close date when filed. And when that date comes, that permit is closed. If you're not done with your project, then you have to stop work. And if you want to keep working, you got to come in and extend your permit. It doesn't cost anything to extend your permit, but it just means you have to be honest with us about whether you're still working on it or not. And
Right, that's.
Right.
That's great.
well, maybe it's not. I mean, we hate to do things to our customers, right? There are customers, we want them to renovate their house. But
So how would that work? It sounds like it's not gonna be.
yeah, I mean, that's the other downside of it too, right? So maybe there's something in between these options. I don't know. But just trying to like get the discussion going of, we all know this is a problem and it's a problem, it's a systemic problem because people don't have the
It's
incentive.
a greenfield problem.
No, it's anywhere. It's people don't have the incentive, right?
Right, and exactly, so should we have better process in place?
Yeah.
So that, yeah, I don't know,
That's great. That's great.
I mean, does this,
guides or restrictions on the building permit or the building side,
oh, it's a building side all the way.
Yeah, but it would definitely, make sense to be more efficient.
I have a question that I probably should know, but with all the permitting, is that all done in process? You know how it was the system was gonna be the municipal system for permitting and the health
Okay.
inspector, is everybody running? Do you know?
I don't.
But I will say the permitting department is definitely using Municity. I saw it on Mark's screen.
Automatically, okay.
Yeah, now the connection between that and what used to be called Assess Pro is not done, right? They're working.
Yes, it was finally fixed and it is
Oh, yeah?
working now.
Oh,
And I'm actually cautiously optimistic and I want to do a double check with them after actually, this week I should, if I have time, talk to them and just make sure, hey, what do you have on this particular property? That's when I just updated, I want to make sure that has gone through, it was last week, it wasn't there, but this week it is. So this week it should be in Municity because the refresh has happened.
that should help a lot. I'm really glad it's happened.
Okay.
But the technology is not going to be the ultimate or enough to fix this.
No, that's just, that just helps things
That's
go
right.
on and move forward. It doesn't,
Right.
it's not addressing any of the other issues that you're talking about.
Right. So either Mark or us or somebody has to do something different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was also really
Because that's
pleased.
not an efficient process, just leave it out there. Oh, yeah.
Open loop,
it's 5 years
right?
later, I'm still working on it,
Right. But Mark, to be fair, he was really clear. The building department, just like we have like a mandate from the state separate from the city,
Mhm.
building department's the same way. They have a mandate to do these inspections. That's their role. They can't tell people how to design things. And that's why they really can't coach people, hey, your permit is open. Right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
he wants to avoid any coaching. He's not allowed to do that. So we have to find other ways.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was also really, really happy to see Mark has access to Assess Pro and you have access to his Municity permit thing.
We're trying.
That
to-
is super great.
Devin and I need to go over and Vicky said that she'd give us some quick pointers on it because we have our logins and we, are poking around in it, but she might be able to help us, more efficiently get to things. Like we were looking for something David requested, a copy of the plans and they had to be in the permit somewhere, but we weren't able to find the screen that, must have had it or it just was not in there. Hopefully it wasn't in there and it was a little better than we thought.
These
And that we
systems
couldn't
are,
find it. So, you need to get familiar with it.
the systems are made for professionals. They're not made to be easy to use.
Yeah,
And that's just the reality. Like Assess Pro is no different.
yeah. Yeah, they give you a assess pro, but they don't really tell you what every field is.
Oh, no, very complicated.
And now it all melds together.
Does Mark have full access to Assess Pro
I
or
think it's read only.
read only?
Yeah.
Is there some reason why we can't have read only access to it?
It's just something that was never been provided to board members, I think. We already talked to Fernando about it. I don't know, we can ask again.
Fernando, you want just read-only access to Assess Pro?
Yeah.
And is that okay with you?
I don't know. Depends, well,
I mean, you can't do anything with it.
yeah,
The only thing we can do is see the data. I suppose we could print reports, but
Well, the biggest thing is.
Sometimes it doesn't let you.
But right now, we can access, anyone in the public can access property cards, but it's a 1-by-1 thing. If we had access to Assess Pro read only, we could produce reports.
Right.
So a lot of this stuff I'm crunching in spreadsheets, we could get it directly from Assess Pro. And it would be much more repeatable and reliable. So that's something that we could do. It would be challenging for us because Assess Pro is very difficult to use. But it would just have to be
complicated.
it would have to be a time investment on our part. Yeah, right. We could do that, but still, it will.
Are you cool with that? If
yeah, I don't know. We talked about it before and Fernando had a reason that it just was not done.
I think-
have been working on different ways to get you guys some more workable data.
Okay,
That hasn't worked out yet, but I'm certain that it's right around.
okay.
Well, maybe the three of us could talk and see what Fernando thinks and you thought, and if you're amenable to that.
Because this is read only.
I know, right, I was listening.
No,
I didn't mean that in a fresh way either. I didn't mean that like that. It came out-
Maybe it's-
But it did come out like that, I would say. But what I meant was I'm listening and I thought I'm hearing and I thought, let's talk. Okay,
So anyways, that's one, I have a special slide just for open permits. And then you just talked about this construction value chart and a typo we found. And yeah, I will take the time to redo this analysis to try and filter out anything that's not with the right lookup land use code.
But by the way, any contractor that does work in the city, do they have to register with the city?
I don't know.
No, but he knows contractors.
It's
He actually,
Oh, that's the one.
yeah,
I think, was it 105 Newton that we were looking for the plans for?
Ooh.
oh yeah, there it is. Premier self-storage, huh?
Right.
Oh, yes, that was it, yeah.
I should say that.
Yeah.
That was gonna be addressed.
Um,
Yeah, because David was thinking that, earlier in the year, I talked to him about it. And he was like, yeah, there's nothing going on up there. Well, by now it's, it's 3/4 of the way built. And that's why those type of things are. So he was looking for the plans for that so that he could get that on and add it in as sooner than later. And it qualified us to both.
Now, the reason I asked about contractors being registered with the city is, if they want to do business here, they got to be registered. And, we can deregister them if they're, if they don't report, your thing about it's the contractor's responsibility to pull and close permit.
yeah, what Mark was teaching me, which was really kind of interesting, is a general contractor will actually work really hard to close the permit. Because they're on the hook. If something goes wrong or
Yeah.
someone's hurt or something. It's the problem is, first off, all the subs, so that was just garbage. Subs never close their permits because no one needs them to. We don't need them to. It's another funky process. Like, why do we have a process with a
So by
part that's
unneeded
unneeded?
work that was sub.
Plumbing, electrical,
Under, yeah.
yeah.
But under a general or independent state?
Well, so the general has a strong
Sure.
motive, but if the owner does it themselves, that's where there's zero incentive to close that permit.
Yeah, and they'll take their time.
And as you saw, I'm sorry, Jenny.
no, I just want to go back. The second one down, the one that we said wasn't 20 million. It
Yeah,
must be at least 2 million.
it's 200,000. The typo is a factor of 100. Right? Dollars and cents.
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, that's what the number is. Like, that's another point that I have in here is that these construction cost estimates, there is also no incentive for anyone to get that right.
I'd just like to see that one again, because I can't imagine that was, where that is, that was possible to do that.
For 200,000.
It must be 2 million. I know it, that's right here.
Well, it's the Smoky Leaf.
Right, Smoky Leaf, that's right across.
Just that little shop on the corner.
$200,000?
Yeah,
Yeah. it's a-
Yeah,
but-
Yeah.
but this is getting back to it. So
So
there
I
is,
think that's very important that we take a look at that one in particular, because we don't have, and I don't know this, because I'm not you,
Mhm.
but we don't have to take that number as gospel. Is that correct?
Well, we have to do it based on what we see when we go there, the facts of what is there. So
Right.
yes, to a certain extent, that permit is irrelevant and it's.
Is relevant or is
It's
irrelevant?
irrelevant.
Okay, fine. That's all I want to know, because I think that number may be irrelevant.
Well,
my
it
personal opinion.
depends on the different factors that are there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In condition, so we say it's in fair condition now, but now it's all done over, okay, it's not, so there's adjustments to value that way, but it doesn't mean that we're gonna get a dollar for dollar.
No, I understand that. I just,
Well, but it is the point. I mean, look, there's even maybe 100 of these that don't even have a cost of construction. Right? Look at these blanks here. So that's just showing.
And a lot of that comes down, or what I'm seeing here is, or some of the concerns, whether it's closed or not, I'm finding out about, when it's open. And so then do I close it or not? That's what I'm concerned about, whether I close it.
mhm.
Well, you
And so,
no, we can't close a permit.
yeah, but I mean, on my spreadsheet, have I worked that permit? Is it gone to its completion? Because I've had this happen before, and there was one guy and he was doing his own thing. He's putting on off of his garage, a screen porch and a deck. And 3 years later, he was still working on it. And he was slowly, I could tell that there was progress every year, but I had to keep it on my list. And that's my point, is that I'm keeping that on my list. And I'm gonna keep going back until it's done.
So, okay, let me go a little bit higher level here. So just like with the permit closing, the cost of construction, the incentives are wrong. Because the building department in their role is to be reactionary and to just make sure it's health and safety, or safety and fire, really. So, I mean, anyone could come in there with any crazy cost estimate that has nothing to do with reality, $100 to replace a whole building. They could put in whatever they want. And there's no rule that they can't. I mean, Mark and Vicky, they obviously work and try and be reasonable and get reasonable numbers for people.
They're reassessing an additional fee because they underestimate the.
That's right. And Mark's not going to go look at what
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
lumber they're using and stuff. So there's no incentive, there's no way for that number to really be correct. And so one way I thought we could address this actually dovetails with later on in this presentation, I talk about promoting new growth. And in other industries, when you have an adversarial process like this, you divide your government side of it into two parts. You have the adversarial reactive part, which you have to have by law. And then you can have what in industry we used to call pre-sales. You remember pre-sales, right? You have some product you want to sell. You send some engineer out there to give a little bit of free work just to get the customer hooked. So the same thing with renovations, right? If we did a little pre-sales, maybe with some volunteers in planning or in new development, right? Where someone would come in there and say, I want to build a new building. I want to do a rehab. I'm interested in this, that, or the other thing. And they go in and have a consultation with somebody who sells them on, yes, you should do that. And let's talk about how much it'll cost. And let's talk about how long it'll take. And it's a great idea. And let me help you find some financing. Now let's go down to talk to the building department. So it's a pre-sales, it's a promoting a sales kind of approach. And that also is not going to get a perfect cost of construction number or a permit close date, but at least we will be in the process as well as, of course, trying to promote it.
But it's, but the pre-sales thing, I think, falls on the shoulders of the contractor and the GC. Because they want the deal, so that's the discussion they will be having.
Yeah, but this is part of the incentive problem because the contractor, right, is always going to underbid.
Yeah. Maybe they underbid, but when the bills come out.
Right.
the-
And the other thing, which I think is a bigger thing, is the reason why we don't have enough housing in this city is because there is not nearly enough contractors to do all the building that needs to be done. So we're going to continue to see a lot of owners do it. You can see it right here in these 1,600 permits of the last 5 years. Look at how many don't have a contractor or company. 300-400. Right, so
You've eliminated all the stuff that is just maintenance related, like roof and minor.
yeah, I tried to, yeah, by categories, by the permit type, which by the way, not all of them have a permit type. And there was a couple of years where they all just say building back in 2019, 2020. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit too into details, but
You're correct. There aren't enough people to do the work. There aren't enough people in construction. That's one of the.
Yeah.
It's one of the known shortages
Yeah.
here in Massachusetts.
so we're gonna have a lot of owners continuing to try to do their own stuff at best. At worst, we won't.
Yeah.
Right? There just won't, no one will do anything and we'll continue to death spiral. We want people to build apartments and renovate in buildings and Smoky Leaf and all that stuff. So pre-sales is a good idea for us, but in the meantime, if we had that kind of function, maybe we could get some better numbers for cost of construction, which would help with the assessing on the back end. So anyway, I don't want to use up the whole world here.
But
So, yeah.
One of the things that's clear is that when you pull a permit has got to be complete. And we have to define what complete means.
But we in building have a different definition of what complete means. Because what they care about, right? They want all these site plans and drawings, there's all these things they want. But they're happy to leave some of these things empty, like a close date estimate or
Which is why working together and
Yeah.
showing them the importance of what you need may actually help us get to the finish line. I mean, nobody knows what anybody else does. Right?
Well, and part of it is like the rules of their database that allow those to go
Yeah.
unpopulated.
And we can bring someone in from FERCog their building inspection person. We could bring somebody in from that meeting as a guest person to explain how they do it.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Anyway, in the last meeting, I just wanted to document, because it was so great that people were talking to each other, right? We made all those requests on the left to Mark in the last meeting. And then Mark, when I met with him last week, he made these requests on the right, and he's probably got more. So these things are probably easy for everyone. It's just, if we just get with each other and say, hey, it would really help if you did this. And even if they say, no, I can't do it, at least we would, maybe pursue it some other way. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then this week, we talked about the tips, right?
Yep.
So this was really interesting. Building also has a tip line. However, it is 100% informal. They have no written list. What happens is people literally call in or fax or send an email. And then Mark or someone else decides whether that person is reliable tipster through subjective means, like they know people or don't know
You see
people.
all that stuff, that one row,
Oh, that's all Jenny.
that's all.
Yeah, yeah, good job, Jenny. But anyway, so they have their own.
I'm not the only one.
No, there's a lot of other people in there too, but so they have their own process, but it's totally secret or subjective or hidden or whatever you want to call it.
Well, it's a tip line. You want it to be, tip line can't be,
It should be anonymous.
but
Yeah.
just have to make sure this supposed to be someone else. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, so that was really interesting to find out that they have their own thing. I think it validates that we should keep ours. I would humbly recommend they might consider formalizing their process, but I don't know.
Anonymous still.
Oh, it has to always announce. Yeah. Yeah, but once it gets in, I mean, we should be tracking it and this thing about deciding whether somebody's reliable seems a little challenging. I mean, I don't know everyone in this in town. Okay.
No,
Okay, this is
a couple people that might not deem as reliable.
yeah, I hate being subjective like that. I mean, everyone's a customer. So this was, we talked about this a little bit before, but this is coming more out of that rental registry work that I was doing. So in the top, you can see a slice out of our AssessPro database, right? Just parcel ID, address, land use code, right? And down here at the bottom, you can see what Kathy Scott has, which is people's names and where they live, again, an address. And what we actually don't have, we have a little bit in AssessPro, but not much, is we don't have how many occupiable or what are the addresses of the occupiable units in town. Because anytime you have more than a single family home, it's going to have multiple units, right? And all these people in the census are telling us they live in 170A, 170B, 170 number 4, whatever. And we have no database in the middle that just has the list of all the places people live with the address. And it turns out that there's a reason why we don't have that, not because we're not allowed to, but because addresses are actually made up by anybody who wants to. So it's not like building planning doesn't make up the address. We don't make the address in assessing.
No, we don't do that. It's assigned by the building inspector.
The building inspector doesn't assign the address.
Well, he's in on it.
Mark says landlords, builders, owners, they just do whatever they want.
Yeah, they do.
Pick any address they
It's
want.
K or B or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and the post office doesn't do it either. So
Right.
anyone can file a change of address form and put any address they want on it, and the postman will do their best.
To find it.
Yeah.
When you say address, I mean, street naming is completely different from the address on the street then.
Yeah, and it's for the unit number.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
ABC 1, 2, 3, right?
We'll determine the street address of the parcel.
That's right. Right. So, but some of them, we have like 171 to 176. So we give them a chunk.
Yeah,
And then the landlord could pick and choose from in that chunk, 172A, 173, number 6, whatever they want to do. So we have no information about it, which means we can't contact residents really directly, and we can't certainly we can't double check who's adding units and not telling us. We can't, the health department doesn't know, and the fire department doesn't know, and
Yeah, it's a
they have their own
public safety issue.
database, blah, blah, blah.
Are in a home. Very, well taken. That's a good point.
Yeah, so anyway, I made a process whereby we could create that here. It's probably not the right process, but I just want to show that there is a way that we could do this without much effort. There's a little bit of manual reconciliation we would have to do. The problem we have is where to put it. So I could create this stuff with a little bit of effort, maybe some clear, but where do we put it? Does it go in Assess Pro? Does it, the health department need their own database? Where do we put it? I don't know.
Where does the unit information go?
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Did you know, we all talked about this before, that a zoning change could lead to a mass increase in value across all kinds of properties for zero effort instantly. The problem is figuring out what zoning change would do that. And then politically dealing with fallout. You get this calculation, right? So maybe someone like Harold, working with someone like Eric, could actually identify any low-hanging fruit zoning changes that could bring in a pile of free money.
Yeah, but the issue here is that the way it's currently zoned is incorrect. How could it be correctly zoned and, need a zoning change?
What do you mean incorrect?
It's not necessarily, I'm sorry, I didn't.
No,
It's not necessarily incorrect.
It's not at all incorrect.
Many times the zoning is changed for something, a person that wants to come in.
Yeah.
I have a couple in mind. I have others that have asked.
Mhm.
And yes, I did not realize that. I actually did not know that, example number 2. But I know that it happens. It's usually done for people. We've done it almost every time the zoning changes come through. While I was on planning board, I wasn't aware of it at the time, but generally there was something behind the scenes that was happening.
Mhm.
That there was a reason why we were doing the zoning change, because somebody needed it. And we
So-
never added anything new to that, so.
Which we could have, but I would say in a more general way, the backroom stuff's fun, but in a more general way, the city of Greenfield zoning document, which I've now looked through a number of times, I can't say I've read every word because it is very dense. But that document appears to me to be the sum total of political calculations going back decades.
And at what point can we capture that?
Well, right away. I mean,
But what if it, okay,
if the council votes a change, then right away we could put it in, right? The tables would all just happen.
I suppose. Because I've never had that done, so I don't have an example or experience to draw.
okay.
But anyway, so Harold might be a good person to know what changes would actually increase the value of properties. I don't know if saying you could have 12 chickens makes it worth more than 9 chickens. But the problem is, it seems to me, and especially after talking to Eric, no matter what changes Harold proposes, any change to that document, there's going to be people who will be mad. Anything.
Any change to the zoning?
The zoning ordinance. Yeah, and I'm mad. There's a ton of stuff in there I think is wrong, and I'd like to open it up and let people do all kinds of things, but it's a political thing. So maybe we can tee up some opportunities, but then Ginny, I'm sorry, you guys with the fancy hats need to decide what is the right thing to do.
Mhm.
This is the ZBA's issue, right?
Planning, and then council.
All right.
So I just updated this chart a little bit to show that a lot of projects skip these middle 3 steps because they don't require like ZBA, they don't require special permits. But it's still a lot of steps, and some of the stuff we're talking about the pre-sales. So these steps up front, these columns, that's not in anybody's process. That's what I think is happening. These are things that are happening before anybody files the permit. So anyway, and then we talked a little bit about project canceling. Again, there's some incentive issues and how that's done. But Mark seemed to think it's not a big problem. And then we talked a little bit, I mentioned about the pre-sales idea, trying to get things going. And one of the ideas I brought up last time, and again, is the idea of a renovation workshop. So just like Randy, you go do those things at the senior center where you tell everybody about their exemptions, here's how you do it. What if building did the same thing? They had got a room and invited anyone who wants to come and learn how you can add an apartment to your house or add an ADU in Greenfield. Here's, come to our office, here's Vicky, here's the application, blah, blah, blah. So it's just an idea. I'll talk to Amy about that tomorrow. And then a bigger question I have for Amy tomorrow is, yeah, we all want cash new growth, but do we want a bunch more single family homes? Do we want businesses? Do we want new apartments? What kind of new growth is actually going to be the right thing for our city in the long term? Right now, most of these new growth permits are single family home permits.
How many
I have
slides
some
are?
updates on this.
It's about the end, 16. What's that?
I had some updates on my list on new growth so that everyone would know whenever
I'm about done.
when that fits in.
Yeah, this is a chart for what I just said about how many single families, and this is about the workshop. So those are all the slides I had.
Well, it's a lot for,
Yeah, it was very great. Great, thank you.
yeah, but there's a lot of good stuff.
Gotta find the money, right?
So, can
Yeah,
can I just update with a couple of things that I know that are happening? Is that okay? Just to let you know, I went to something, it was like about a week and a half ago at Four Phantoms. There's a new growth plan for Valley View. That's up off of Sunset, like that little development. I forget what else is up there. On the way to Montague, there's a little development up there. Valley View and Sunset are up that way.
Condos up the hill?
Yeah, if you're on your way to Montague and you're going down French King and you take a right, there's a little development up there. It includes Sunset
Mhm.
and Valley View are two of the places. There's a person there who was going to put in, I think it was like 30 little, very, very small singles, like studio connected. It was sort of like community living, but each one you would be buying, okay? And they were like 500 to 800 square feet, common space, and I think it was about 30. And he was in the beginning stage. And there's also, I heard another one coming.
here's the Valley View, right?
It's
Right
off,
there?
it's really on Stone Farm Road. It's where those two little houses are that way down that long road. Yeah, way down.
Down here?
Yeah.
Oh, way down
See,
here?
Yeah, right. See where those two little houses are, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, that's gonna be beautiful.
yeah, so.
Wow,
so-
nice.
So that's coming,
Uh-huh.
hopefully. And then I just wanted to tell you this, and then, because it
Uh-huh.
makes you feel a little bit more hopeful, and then on French King,
Yeah,
and I'm not actually gonna say where, because I don't know if that's out yet, but I heard there was another place right along there that is gonna be housing.
Great.
Again, 30, or in the 30s. So.
In the 30s.
They're about 30 units, 30 units. I would say out loud, but I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to say that or not yet, but the other one was fascinating to me with the, overlapping, but each one would be sold. And then, so I just wanted to tell you that.
Eric should have all that info.
Yes, he does. And so that's another thing. I was thinking like, he could be updating us.
Yeah.
That, and I think if he has it, it's probably public record, but that's why the only reason I'm not saying. And I'm looking at the list, but can I just, even though, can I go?
anything you want,
Okay.
you're the mayor.
Council relations, I was looking at this to see where it fit in.
Yeah.
I wanted you to know on the senior tax work off that there are 20 people. And remember, we increased the number, there were 65 that applied this year. It was a huge
Yes.
increase in the number
Right.
of people that applied.
That's,
And I felt that you should all know that. I also felt that you, as a board, should know that more departments were reaching out. For the first time, we had the fire department and the police department, and also the library are taking advantage of the senior tax work-off. I wanted you to know that. That's just information.
That's wonderful.
And then I also want you to know, and this may not make everyone happy or not, doesn't really matter. It will be coming up in the June council meeting. I think I mentioned this before, but Wahab is bringing forward, which will be a little bit more probably on assessing and about the, what is it called? Elderly and disabled tax
Oh, yeah, yeah.
fund.
The
He's
fun.
putting that forward. And it would probably be something like, I don't really know how this impacts the assessor's office.
We're going to be running it.
Odds are that this will impact you. It's probably, I don't really know. I haven't been through it before. But it might be like a checkoff box like you do for Berkshire Gas where you donate something. Of course, it ends up being something because then who gets that
Mhm.
money? And there'd be people that had to decide that. And then
committee.
I
It's
know
us.
that, but I do think Wahab was very enthusiastic about it. My gut is that this will pass that and those are my like updates. And then at the end, I have a question on something that's not at all on the list.
Hmm.
And then I have one thing. Do you go into executive session at the end of this?
Can't.
Need to, yeah.
Okay, I have one thing to update you on an executive session that you probably during litigation. But on Millbrook Solar, that is something that I meant to get down to ask Randy. Because I don't know if I should take this offline with just you. This is something that I don't quite understand. There is money that comes in and charges that, and we talked to the Department of Revenue and I don't know where
Yeah.
that ended. Should that be something that I should talk to you about?
Probably.
Okay, so just for
I
now.
recorded that whole meeting. It's something that we need to get going.
Okay, so I just wanted to, something came up with that and I was like, all right. So that was all I had other than one thing that I wanted to tell you.
Well, thank you. The aid for elderly and children, the statute says that I think that the group that makes those decisions has to be not only chaired by someone from the Board of Assessors, so one of us, but I believe they also say that we're supposed to structure the process. So we're supposed to decide who else is on that board, but who that committee is.
I thought Wahab's proposal included.
Oh, the council decides that?
Well, no, I think that his proposal
Yeah.
specified it.
So maybe you all could,
Yeah. We can,
whoever that could speak with him. I don't know it. I don't know all that. I read some about it, but I'm not an expert.
and has he put together the proposal to be passed?
I didn't attend A&O, but I have and I didn't actually look thoroughly at the June agenda yet, but it's either June and July, and I just wanted you, it's better not to be surprised.
Well, at that last meeting, I don't know if you were there, but remember they proposed it as just a slam dunk, like just do it or not. And then some people, including I think Penny and stuff, were like, no, you need all the details in this. And there was a little bit of strife about that.
Well,
On the residential extension?
No, this is the elderly and disabled.
Tax fund.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that's to do with the collector.
No, well, apparently we are the ones who are supposed to figure out who gets the money.
yeah, it's a
There's a committee, which one of us has to.
Yeah, oh, it has to be the
Has to
chair.
be a board of assessor for whatever reason.
I'm not sure who chairs it, but I'll check with Wahab and see what,
It's the statute, because this is in statute.
Mhm.
It's an option we choose from the state. It's not like a
Yeah.
random thing that.
Right, yeah.
It's they call the Elderly and Disabled Tax Fund. Somewhere I have the
yeah, and
printout.
I seem to recall
I
that
think I-
it specified the committee members. I
Yeah.
don't know that it specified the chair, but it doesn't matter. Okay. A question, this is kind of new business. Do we have a policy in the town for pilots? Do we have a suggested donation?
That's a really good question that someone else has brought up to me. And I'm just gonna have to say, I don't know enough about this. A couple of people came up to me and I would welcome some help with that. I don't know.
We should come up with a suggested donation policy.
That's exactly the point.
I don't-
People pony up more when you ask them for more.
Right, well, so if someone would assist the mayor with this.
Yeah,
the mayor
perhaps
would
the
be
people who
grateful.
do assessments, who might know if they were paying taxes, how much would they owe?
Someone that recently came up and I thought,
Yeah.
I totally will admit when I don't know enough about something and that would be something and I thought, okay, this should be on that's on my radar screen and I could use some help.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
talking to someone at Bay State. And I brought that up because they were talking about taxes and it was like, well,
Right,
pilot
yes.
program, use payments in lieu of taxes, because you certainly have a big footprint here and you're definitely using the services of the town.
And how that is done is not something that I don't, so let's give me some help.
Yeah.
We can make meetings with you,
That'd be great.
okay?
I'd be happy that.
We can do
And
that.
one of the things that we include in this is the pilot is also based on the highest pay for the executive.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's
Okay,
excellent.
okay.
Gee, nice.
So and years ago,
That was
they
just
had a
the-
big effort in Northampton.
Thanks, Jim.
And I think it was the mayor at the time, so, because they have some colleges there, was trying to promote that. And maybe they would have, if you know anybody, on the council. in
Yeah, that's a
Northampton,
great idea.
Or, they might have some
Tips.
tips that will work for
Mm-hmm.
them, if anything did work for them.
But I know that they almost like did a public awareness campaign and were asking, everybody to contribute to a pilot and, everybody and anybody that,
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Great.
especially there, I mean, they've got a bbig footprint and just like, Bay State, yeah, they've got a big footprint here, so.
I'm wondering what happens in Amherst too.
And that made me think of one more thing that actually Randy and I spoke about that I don't know if he's talked to you about, but I have to talk to other mayors to see how they handle. We've had a large number of nonprofit.
Oh, right.
I don't know how to say that in
Service.
without getting into specifics, but buying us up large homes, large new homes.
Yeah.
And this would be something else I would welcome any assistance with. The number of properties that are coming off the tax rolls in it quickly with one or two well-known tax exempt entities. That's what I would say. Okay, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it.
That I looked into just quickly and they had, I think, like 12 properties. It was over $3 million worth of value and about 60 million in taxes that we're not getting.
Now, because of all of these purchases of these residential properties.
What would the pilot amount be?
There's a good thought. So I actually
So
could
There is
use,
no pilot amount, but yeah. what
so
would
I
be
could
right?
use help with that.
But yeah, a lot of times it's in the past, like a rule of
Can
thumb.
I ask a question in support of doing that? Are these nonprofits using a consistent name when they buy these things?
It's.
So,
It's all
I'm,
it's all in the same name deed wise.
It is.
Mhm.
Because remember, there are other parts of this town
Yeah.
where individuals will use 6 different names for themselves.
Right.
that could be,
So, but that's not happening here.
No, and that was one of the ways
I was able to isolate it, looking at one of my lists, and then just sorted by that name,
Yeah,
and then did a quick little total.
So that's what I was gonna suggest is
I'll work
if
on
we
this
just,
pilot thing.
I need help, and I think that you all have a lot of potential.
we could do a sort of just whatever's newly off the rolls. Just top down, just like with the construction value, just even if there's 1,000 that are newly off the rolls, I know it's probably only 100, but just search them from highest value to lowest. And then summarize it by the name of the new owner. So if one of these places, right, has bought 6, then the value, that'll be a larger number. And then if we can sort there, then it should pop to the top right away.
Well, one of the things I'd like to do is publicize how much in taxes we're losing from tax exempt properties and how much they contribute without naming names.
Right. Okay, that would be great.
And as a prelude to,
Okay,
Out of a
great.
pilot outreach.
well, pilot here, pilot there, yeah.
Right, sounds good.
All right,
Yeah, because that's
Go
actually a
off.
way of helping. That's a good idea, isn't it?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think if we could get that going, you know, it's,
And they could take the burden of that, so you didn't have to do that,
yeah.
right?
yeah, sure. if we
That
could-
sounds like they wanted to do that. Is that a good idea or
We want to get those underpayers.
Okay, all right, because this is problematic.
Okay,
I welcome all of these things. I just don't know how
all
to,
right.
okay.
You and I can talk about pilots.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was gonna move, we go into executive session. But
We would have to close the public.
yes,
speech, actually.
but I was just wondering, do you guys want to clean up? Is there anything else in this discussion that's needed? Do you want to talk about the tax taking thing?
Well, that was my conversation with Kelly.
Mhm.
But one of the things that came up was she would be happy to include a brief summary of all the exemptions that are available
Mhm.
so that people can avoid falling into foreclosure. So I think having a one-page summary of,
Yeah, actually, Devin and I discussed that, and
Right.
they have in the, of course, 200.
200, yeah.
A breakdown of how they,
Yep.
you know, like a suggested way of advertising those, or a chart to put it in to show all the different things, and we were talking about, so we should do something similar.
So the outreach that I'm talking about, that Ginny, actually, I'm glad you're here.
So are we in executive session?
No,
no.
No,
No, no,
because we have folks on.
Right.
You said
Stephanie, which is very
Hi,
appropriate.
Stephanie.
Hello there, Steph.
So,
Hi, so this is a very appropriate topic. So the thing is that I suggested that we get a story together across your administration about tax taking. And the reason that we are requesting it here from the Board of Assessors is because we are often the face of the city when it comes to property taxes.
mhm.
And so people might have an issue with what we're doing because of their concerns about the tax taking process, even though that's not something we do. And so I thought it would be very helpful, especially with the different editorials columns that there've been in the Recorder. If the city, it's my naive understanding that the city is aligned with residents who are aligned with the Supreme Court decision, who don't think it's right. But there's also, I understand, state laws, which tell us what we have to do and stuff. And so I don't know what the city's position is.
So I think at this point, it would be good for us to move into executive session.
All right, then we can hear
For
about it there.
for the purpose of ongoing litigation, which is number, I'm not sure.
Okay, that's why.
Can I do that and we can have?
Yeah, was there anything else that you need us to do before we do that?
So we have to close public speak, and since we have public here, I think we should.
Double check, yeah.
The opportunity.
Steph, anything you want to say before we close up and go to executive?
No, but thank you for asking.
All right, well, thanks for
Okay.
joining us.
Was at the fire station yesterday.
I move that we close public comment.
All right, I will second that,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I move we go into executive session.
and I will second that.
okay, and I will try and.
Should we stop recording?
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna stop our recording and